Hello everyone, welcome to ENbreezEN, the daily current affairs provided by Team Enlight. Today we'll be discussing on five major topics. First one, Juvenile Justice Bill. So here we'll be discussing on the key provisions of the bill as well as the concerns that has been raised by the various stakeholders. Second one is regarding Shanghai Cooperation Organization. Third one, cloudburst as well as flash floods. Fourth one, secure logistics document exchange. And the fifth one, the statutory motion that was recently admitted by the Rajya Sabha. So let's get started. First one, Juvenile Justice Bill. So it was in news because it was recently passed by the Rajya Sabha. So this bill or the bill that was recently passed by Rajya Sabha, it is called as Juvenile Justice Care and Protection of Children Amendment Bill 2021. So this bill seeks to amend the original 2015 Act, which was focusing towards protecting the children in conflict with law, as well as or which deals with the children in conflict with law, as well as children in need of care and protection. So this amendment, which has been brought in recently, is actually changing some of the provisions of the original 2015 Act. So what are they? We'll be discussing here. First one is regarding the adoption part. So earlier, the adoption part is actually prescribing the procedure for adoption of children by the prospective adoptive parents from both India as well as abroad. So that is what adoption deals all with. So previously, what it actually happened to be in the 2015 Act was that the adoption was actually, or the adoption order was actually issued by the civil code. The adoption order was actually issued by the civil code. Now, this particular one or this bill has actually changed or transferred this power from the civil code to that of DM or the district magistrate, and this district magistrate includes additional district magistrate also. So when this bill comes into power or it actually gets a presidential assent, here instead of the civil code, the district magistrate, including the ADM, that is additional district magistrate, will be issuing such adoption orders. So that is the first one. Second one is regarding the appeal. Here, the bill has brought in a time-bound grievance redressal mechanism. So here, what it says is that if any person is aggrieved with the adoption order that has been passed by the district magistrate or DM, that is, so what he or she should do is that he or she should approach the divisional commissioner within 30 days of such an order being passed by the DM. And the main highlight is that the bill prescribes that it has to be disposed of, or the grievance has to be redressed within 4 weeks of such a complaint being accepted by the divisional commissioner. So what it says is that within 30 days from the date of passage of such an order, the divisional commissioner can accept, or a person can file an appeal before the divisional commissioner, and the divisional commissioner should dispose of within 4 weeks of from the date of filing of such an appeal. So that is actually the second most important. So this is the first one, this is the second one. Now third one is regarding the additional function. So the DM or the district magistrate has been given some additional function also. Additional function like supervising the district child protection unit, as well as second one is regarding conducting a quarterly review of the functioning of the child welfare committees. So these two have been also been these additional functions has also been entrusted to the district magistrate. And the most important part is that the serious offenses. Okay, so here what it says is that under the 2015 offense or under the 2015 Act, what it says is that 2015 Act says that the offenses that has been committed by the juveniles would be categorized into three. First one is the petty one or petty offenses. So here under the petty offenses, below 3 years of imprisonment is given. And second one is serious offenses. So here those who have committed serious offenses, then they would be sentenced for 3 to 7 years of imprisonment. That is serious offenses. Now the third one is heinous offenses. So under the heinous offenses, those with minimum punishment of 7 years of imprisonment under IPC or any law would be categorized as heinous law. That is minimum punishment of 7 years of imprisonment. But in 2020, the Supreme Court ruled, or the Supreme Court observed that the Act does not deal with offences where the maximum sentence is more than 7 years of imprisonment. That is, the maximum sentence is more than seven. That is, maximum imprisonment is a maximum sentence is more than 7 years of imprisonment, but there is no minimum sentence or minimum sentence is less than 7 years. Such categories of offences has not been categorized under this act. That is, a sentence that is maximum sentence is more than 7 years of imprisonment, but there is no minimum sentence at the same time or minimum sentence is of less than 7 years. So such act has not been categorized under this act. So the Supreme Court ordered that such an act should be categorized. Such an act should be categorized as serious offences. So the court ordered, and as per this order, the bill seeks to give an effect to this particular order of the Supreme Court. So that is the next one, fourth one. Fifth one is regarding the designated code. Previously it used the act used to say that offences against the children which are punishable with imprisonment of more than 7 years, that is more than 7 years, would be tried in children's code. That is, offences against the children that are punishable with imprisonment of more than 7 years would be categorized under or would be tried under children's code, and this children's code is actually equivalent to that of a sessions code. That of a sessions code. At the same time, those offences which are punishable with an imprisonment of less than 7 years, would be actually tried by a judicial magistrate. But this bill has taken away all these categorization and said that all offences under the act would be tried by the children's code itself. So no such categorization of offences less than 7 years or greater than 7 years, etc. Apart from this, the offences against the children has been made non-cognizable and non-bailable. Previously, under the 2015 original act, it was actually a cognizable apport. Cognizable means arrest can be made without warrant, but here it has been made non-cognizable as well as retained as a non-bailable offence. And apart from this, regarding child welfare committees, the Act has provided for certain qualifications that need to be met in order to become a member of child welfare committee. So here the bill actually has brought in ineligibility criteria. That is, it has said like the people, that is those having a record of violation of human rights or child rights, that is violation of human rights or child rights, as well as those who are a part of a management of a child care institute, etc., cannot become a member of those who are a part of a management of a child care institute cannot become a part of CWC. But at the same time, the Act originally had provided certain provisions regarding becoming a member, like the particular person, the member should be involved in health education or welfare. He or she should be a practicing professional with a degree in child psychology or psychiatry, etc., etc. So along with that particular, the bill has actually added certain provisions that makes a person ineligible to become a member of CWC or Child Welfare Committee. But this is actually regarding the key provisions of this act. But there are certain concerns that has been raised by the various stakeholders. Now, what are the concerns? Regarding the concerns, first concern is regarding the transferring of power to the DM. The major reason why they said that the DM, that is the power has been provided, that is adoption power has been provided to DM, is that they say that there has been an inordinate delay. But when you look into the fact, it says that from April 2015 till March 2020, approximately nearly around 19,000 children have been adopted. 19,000 adoptions has been done, which translates to average of 320 adoption per month. At the same time, on July 2018, in 2018, statistics says that nearly 629 adoption cases were pending before the various courts, in fact. So when you compare with this average, that is 320 adoption as well as 19,000 altogether adoption that has happened, the 629 adoption cases is not that much huge amount. So this adoption or the delay, etc., is actually being questioned. Along with that, they also say that many experts also say that the DM or the district magistrate is already overburdened with several responsibilities such as maintenance of law and order, as well as land and revenue administration, disaster management, general administration, implementing the government schemes and programs. Along with that, it also says that the DM nearly chairs around 75 committees which are spread across 23 departments in a district. So he is already overburdened, and on top of that, if you are coming up with another power, then it is actually overburdening and will considerably contribute towards the delay process. So instead of overcoming this delay, that is 629 cases, etc., which is not that much when you compare with that of the average adoptions that is happening per month. This is not a considerable amount. That is what they say. Second one is regarding the lack of judicial scrutiny. In fact, the experts say that the adoption of a child is a legal process. The adoption process, in fact, is a legal process which creates a permanent legal relationship. It creates a permanent legal relationship between the parent as well as the child. That is the adoptive parent as well as the child. So, when such a permanent legal relationship is being created, all the sites has to be examined clearly, and here the court, or since it is a legal process, the courts are better equipped in order to look into the various interests of both stakeholders. So they say that since this is a legal process and the legal authority or the judicial authority is more appropriate to be considered. But at the same time, DM is an administrative authority. At the same time, even at the appeal stage also, the appeal stage, that is with the divisional commissioner also, he is also an administrative officer. So there also at the appeal stage also a judicial oversight is not coming into play. And when you compare with other countries like UK, Germany, etc., there also UK, Germany, France, and many states in the United States, etc., the adoption orders are issued only by a court. So when a judicial oversight is required, replacing it with an administrative authority is also not in conformity with the international norms. That is what they say. Next one is regarding the issue of implementation. The Juvenile Justice, according to the Act, the original Act, it says that the Juvenile Justice Board as well as Child Welfare Committee has to be created in every district. But the Standing Committee on Human Rights Development in 2015, which reviewed the implementation of Juvenile Justice Act of 2010, it said that the Juvenile Justice Board as well as the Child Welfare Committees were available only on paper, and many a times they were not available or they were not present in the real-time scenario. And apart from that, many populous districts they needed to have more CWCs, but at the same time they were not there were single or one or two CWCs which were inadequate in order to overcome the case loads. In fact, apart from this, in fact, NALSA, that is National Legal Service Authority, in 2019 noted that only 17 out of the 35 states or union territories had all the basic structures and the bodies that was required to be brought in under this particular act. The Standing Committee on Human Rights also said that the current juvenile justice boards as well as the child welfare committees in fact lack the authority to manage their financial and human resources also. And in fact, the act also prescribed that near all the CCIs, that is child care institutions, had to be registered. But what they did, that is the Standing Committee on Human Rights Development, what they found is that only just 32% of the total CCIs that were constituted in the country were registered. The rest were not registered according to the mandate or according to the provisions of the Act. So this was also a serious issue. Apart from that, regarding the pendency also, that is pendency of the cases, in fact, rose in 2019 from 43% to 51% in 2009. In 2009, it was 43% and it rose to 51% in 2019. So here also the case load, in fact, is rising. But at the same time, the institutional infrastructure that is required in order to implement this particular act is still not placed. So that is a major concern that has been raised by the various stakeholders. So these are regarding the concern that has been brought in before the juvenile justice bill. Now, hope that's clear. Now let's move on to the next one, that is regarding SCO. SCO is also known as Shanghai Cooperation Organization. Why it was in news? It is because the defense minister addressed the SCO defense ministers meeting in Tajikistan. So what is SCO? It is a political, economic as well as a security permanent intergovernmental international organization. It was created in 2001. And the main members were China, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Russia, Tajikistan as well as Uzbekistan, India as well as Pakistan joined in 2017. So please keep that in mind. That is, India is a member. India as well as Pakistan both are members of SCO. Now the headquarters is in Beijing. Please don't confuse it with Shanghai, since it is named as Shanghai Cooperation. It is not Shanghai Cooperation. In fact, it is the headquarters is at Beijing and has two permanent organizations. One is the SCO Secretariat that is based in Beijing, as well as the other one is RATS, that is Regional Anti-Terrorist Structure. It is based in Tashkent. It is based in Tashkent. And there are observers. UPC may also ask questions regarding observers. So there are four observers as of now. There is Afghan is there, Belarus, Iran, as well as Mongolia. Iran as well as Mongolia. So these are the observers of SCO. So that is regarding SCO. Now moving, so this is an intergovernment international organization. Now moving on to the next one, that is cloudburst and flash flood. Now what is cloud? Why it was in news? It was because cloudburst as well as flash flood had occurred in parts of Himachal Pradesh. So what is cloudburst? Cloudburst, in fact, is actually is an extreme amount of precipitation in a short period of time that is limited to a short or a small geographical area. So there are three important criteria. There is extreme amount of precipitation that is happening in a short period of time, and it is limited to a small geographic area. Now, what it says is that a shower type, many experts says that when the shower type is with a fall rate of greater than equal to or greater than 100 nanometer, sorry, 100 millimeter, 100 millimeter. Sorry, it's not like this. Yeah, it's greater than or equal to 100 millimeter then per hour, 100 millimeter per hour. Then it is called as it can be categorized as a flash flood, as a cloudburst. It happens. That is what happens. That it mainly occurs in deserts or mountainous regions, and also in some parts in interior regions of the continental land masses, where the warm air or the warm air current from the ground. In fact, there is an updraft of air that happens, and this updraft, in fact, carries the falling rainfall or the raindrops which are falling. It is actually carried upwards by the warm air current from the ground or from the below. And this warm air, in fact, it carries the rainfall to the higher altitude. And what happens to the higher altitude from the land masses? And what happens that this rainfall fails to reach the ground. This rainfall or the rain droplets are actually carried upwards. And what happens is that at one point of time, it actually condenses. Excessive condensation happens, and the entire cloud is taken upwards. Excessive condensation happens, and new drops are formed. And this excessive condensation, in fact, it comes down. That is extreme amount of it comes down as extreme amount of precipitation, and it would be falling in a short period of time, and it would be limited to a small geographic area, and this is actually called as cloudburst. Now regarding the flash flood, what happens in flash flood is that flash floods are defined. They are defined as those flood events where the rise in water is either during or within a few hours of rainfall, and and it occurs mainly within a small catchment areas where the response time for the drainage or the response time for the drainage basin is very short. The response time in the sense that the response time in order to absorb the upcoming or the coming flood or the rise in water level, the absorption, etc., is actually being delayed because there is no time. In fact, the response time is very short. So when there's a delay in the response time for this particular excessive water, what happens is that it actually rapidly moves across the surface, and this rapidly rising as well as fast flowing water, in fact, causes flash flood. And it is actually, there are hydrological factors also involved, such as terrain gradients, soil types, vegetative covers, human habitation, as well as antecedent rainfalls, etc. All these are also increasing. And this fast moving waters of the flash flood, in fact, is creating a devastating, like this one. It creates a devastating effect on the area. So this is regarding the cloudburst and flash flood. Please revise your geography portion along with this. Now, moving on, this is a recent initiative by the central government, that is Secured Logistics and Document Exchange. It was brought along with a calculator for greenhouse gas emission. Now, what is the Secured Logistics Document Exchange? It is actually, as the PIB mentions, it is a solution that aims to replace the present manual process of generation, exchange, as well as compliance of logistics document. And these manual processes being replaced with a digitized, secure, as well as seamless document exchange system. And this generation of the generation, as well as storage, as well as the interchange of the logistics related documents, that is through the digital one, is created using Aadhaar and uses a blockchain based security protocol, which helps in data security as well as authentication. That is, the entire logistics document is actually is digitized, secured using blockchain based security protocols. So it is completely protected, as well as the major advantage is that there is a complete audit trail of the document transfer, which is very helpful for the government in order to focus, in order to track the transfer. Along with that, there's a faster execution of the transaction also. Along with that, lower cost of shipping happens, and also lower cost of shipping. Then overall carbon footprint can also be reduced. Carbon footprint can also be reduced, and also verification for authenticity can be easily done, because it is actually using a blockchain based security protocol, so it is very easy to authenticate it. And regarding the greenhouse gas emission calculator, it is actually an efficient, user-friendly tool which provides for calculating and comparing the greenhouse gas emissions across different modes of transportation. So here this particular calculator also uses or also allows for commodity-wise comparison of greenhouse gas emissions, as well as the total cost of transportation is also being evaluated. Total cost means it also includes the environmental cost also. The environmental cost also is actually being calculated by this greenhouse gas calculator. So in short, what happens is that it can actually help in improving India's logistics efficiency, reduce the logistics cost also, and promote a multi-modality and sustainability in a big way. So in short, we can help in increasing India's performance in Logistics Performance Index, LPI, Logistics Performance Index. In this particular index, India's ranking can be increased using these initiatives. That is what the Secured Logistics Document Exchange seeks to provide. Now, next one is regarding the statutory motion. Now, why is it in news? It is because the Rajya Sabha recently had admitted a statutory motion and would be soon discussed. So, what is a statutory motion? See, everyone, we know that a law would be passed by both houses of the parliament. But at the same time, the rules and regulations, etc., would be actually framed by government or other authorities, and this is done using subordinate legislation. So this is because the parliament does not have time to discuss each and every rule or bylaw or the schemes, etc. So here the committee, what happens that the committee on subordinate legislation, in fact, they scrutinizes and reports the rules as well as regulations that has been framed. And when the rules has been framed, it would be tabled before the parliament, and it would be there. That is, it would be tabled for a period of 30 sitting days. During which the members of the parliament can actually move a motion to amend or annul a rule till the last date of the subsequent session. And here, once this particular statutory motion has been put forward, then it must be taken up for the discussion within 30 days of House. That is what it says. Now, the most important part is that, or the most interesting part is that the statutory motion is actually rarely used in the parliament. In fact, especially in Rajya Sabha also, it is rarely used. Recently, it was used the previous instance was in 2010. That was moved by the present Finance Minister of Kerala. So statutory motion is there. So this is the last one. So please be thorough about the statutory motion. Now, apart from that, you also need to focus on deposit and credit guarantee corporation, deposit insurance and credit guarantee corporation. It has been covered in previous ENbreezEN topic. It has the link will be provided in the description. So it is also important because the deposit insurance payout that is within 90 days has been approved by the cabinet. And so please go through it. And that's all for today. Thank you.